Hey, we're back. Good to have y'all on tonight. We're gonna wait for the few seconds to get everything straightened out. All right, good people. Appreciate y'all coming on.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Relationship Movement as we continue our relationship movement tonight with Real Talk. We want to talk to you tonight about real stuff, real topics for real people. Not sugar-coated. We're not giving you a whole bunch of fluff. It's raw and it's going to be real. So we're just going to wait a couple of more minutes for everyone to come on and then we'll get started.
Even as you're starting to tune in, we're going to ask that you guys share this video on your page so that your friends can watch live as we go along. We really are interested in people giving us commenting and giving us feedback as we're going through this, because we're going to use that to help us when we get ready to do our second set. So make sure you guys comment and have your reactions to it and put it on your friends' page so they can comment, so we can use that information to create our next Real Talk.
We're just waiting for you. I'm gonna let the ladies handle everything tonight. I'm gonna be quiet for a few minutes anyway. They got it together. We're gonna wait about 30 more seconds. We're gonna kick it off. Y'all show some love. Hit that screen. Show some hearts tonight on this rainy night. Let's see some hearts pop up there. Tap that screen. There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Show the brothers some love. Sisters some love.
You ready, Elise?
I am ready. I am excited to talk to you guys tonight. I'm very excited.
All right, Miss Elise, I'm going to let you kick it off. I'm not going to say a whole lot tonight. I'm going to let y'all handle it for a little while anyway.
I'm going to introduce it, and then I'm going to put Tracy on the spot.
No.
Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about investments. So if you want to just start putting that in your title as you're sharing this, we're going to talk about how to become an investment, how to recognize that you are an investment. And if you've gotten to a place where you're feeling like you're not an investment, then we want to find a way to help you reestablish that. Now I'm going to kick it off to my brother here, who is going to tell you ways how you know in a relationship and as you're dealing with somebody, how to recognize that you're not treating yourself or not being treated like you're an investment. Give us some signs to let us know. How do you, and when you're in a relationship, how do you know that I must not be treated like, or I must not recognize that I'm an investment?
I think one of the key things that I always say is you have to have communication, affection, and attention. And for relationships to be healthy, you want to make sure that you're given the time, the proper time in the relationship. You want to make sure you're giving the proper ear, if you will, so when you're communicating that they're listening to you. Because again, I always say that it has to be attention, communication, and affection. And with a healthy relationship, there has to be great communication. There has to be the pouring in, and not only just the pouring in, but you have to be pouring into each other. And that has to be a part of the equation if you're going to have a healthy and vibrant relationship.
So say then, in layman's term, because this is real talk, so tell me, give me a real example of a relationship between two individuals where one of them is not being treated with, or being valued, or being worth. Because if it's an investment, I'm going to let Tracy talk a little bit about that. Things that are an investment have worth assigned to them. And so she's going to tell us, well, let me let her tell us first. How do you recognize worth, or how do you even come about saying this is an investment or something worth investing? How do you even get to that mindset of that?
Absolutely. One of the first things you want to take a look at is when you're in a relationship, how much are you giving and how much are you receiving?
Okay.
It's about giving and it's about receiving. So if you're giving more than you're receiving, then that's not worth your investment.
Great. I call that reciprocity, and it's what you put in, you expect to have a return on investment, ROI. And you'll hear that a lot from us because, you know, I said in our last session that even it's biblical, for as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest. So I expect that if I'm pouring anything into somebody, at some point, it might not be the same thing, but I expect to be getting a return out of that.
Right.
So now I want you to tell us, and you deal with a lot of people in relationships, when you're looking at something and you're hearing people talk talk about, my spouse or my fiance or my girlfriend or my boyfriend, how do you look at that and determine she doesn't know what she's worth, or he doesn't really know what he's worth, or he's not treating her like he values her? What are some signs? Give us some enlightenment about some signs that show us that we're not valuing ourselves.
I think one of the key things, again, is generally in the beginning of relationships, you'll find, especially the men, and I'm talking from a man perspective, we'll go all out, go to dinner, go to movies, we'll text you during the day, and then after a while, that starts to wane off, that starts to decrease. And what ends up happening is sometimes men become comfortable thinking that the lady's not going to go anywhere, or even thinking that we don't have to continue to do the same thing because I already have you already. But again, you want to be able to continue to do those things that you did in the beginning, because there's a quote that says, whatever you do in the beginning, if you keep continuing to do it, there'll never be an end.
Right.
And I always try to tell brothers what you want to do is start strong and finish strong.
Right.
Because again, a healthy relationship is not just something that you start off for 6 months after you get the cookie, and then you start to sort of slack off. Now you don't have the time, you're working, make up excuses. That's not what sisters want. They want to have the continuation of what you started from the beginning. And if I can just go a little further, one of the things that I really like to share with women is that what I notice a lot of times is that you ladies are always talking about their man on their Facebook page, my babe, my boo. And that's generally in the first few months. But again, if he's not doing the same thing for you on his page, and most times the brother's not going to have a page where they're going to have you up there on the page. So why are you spending your time putting all of the information about him on your page, but he's not doing the same for you? It's like Miss Elisa just said, reciprocity. You can't, I'll say it like this. He should be showing the people that he's into you, not you trying to show people that you're into him. It should be the other way around. When a man values you, he's going to prove to you, and not only just to you, but to others, that you're the one. You don't have to put on your page, because I watched for the last few years. These young girls always put up there, it's my babe, my boo, he's helping me cook, he's doing this. And then after about a year or 6 months or whatever, now there's no more conversation about him. And I tell sisters, the one way you want to know if he's really into you, keep the cookie store closed.
Oh, wow.
Keep it closed.
Wow.
If he can hang around you for a year and no cookie, you know what I mean by cookie, this raw talk, no sex, I guarantee you'll find out the real him.
Wow. So, Tracy, let me ask you a question, and I'm going to weigh in on this later, but how, and we keep talking about return, we keep talking about investment. How do you recognize when you've stopped being an investment to yourself? What are some telltale signs that show you that you're not really valuing yourself?
Oh, good question. One of the things that I have to remind people all the time is that you can't give what you don't have. So if you're constantly finding yourself giving to others and trying to force yourself on someone else to make them spend time with you. If I've got to call you all the time to say, hey, let's go to dinner. Hey, when you coming over? Hey, where you been? That's a telltale sign that I am trying to push myself off on you because you're not giving me the time that I think I deserve.
That's good. Let me ask you something from a male perspective. When a man is noticing that a woman, and when we talk about reciprocity, what we're saying is there are equal sides to the pie. So we don't do things the same, but effort can be mutual. Effort should be consistent, and like Tracy just said, it should be an equal attempt. What does a man think if this is the halfway point? He only has to go this far because, as Tracy said, this woman is going further. A lot of times, and you're the enlightener here, a lot of times a woman will think that translates to the man as, oh, see how I'm investing in him? See how I'm going the extra mile? See how he doesn't even have to work that hard because I'm making it easy. I'm going to, if we're not married and I'm preparing his meals and ironing his clothes, or, like you said, I'm always calling him and I'm always checking on him, bringing him lunch. And then, like you said, they may get a call back or they might get a picture, maybe not. Ooh, they don't post that one. Don't put out. Don't let everybody know. We got to tell everybody our business, but now they don't stop you from doing it. What is going on on, and this isn't everybody, and we all know that we're adults here. One size doesn't always fit all, but as a person that counsels and sees this kind of thing and deals with relationships, what's going on from a woman? What's going on in a man's brain when a woman is crossing that halfway line and doing the 80-20 thing?
Well, I think what ends up happening, what's going on in the man's mind during that specific time, is a man is almost getting to the point where he feels as if he really doesn't have to do anything. So he gives 20% because you're doing the 80. And I'm saying that that's not a good fit for a healthy relationship, because again, if I see a woman going all out for me, then as a real man, I'm going to try to go all out for her to where she feels as if I'm giving her just as much as she's giving me. And that's one of the things that I think that women have to really come to grips with. You don't want to be the one doing all the giving. You don't want to be the one doing all the pouring into, because again, I always tell people you're going to run out eventually if you're doing all the giving.
Right.
And I know I think it was Teddy Pendergrass had a song out called 50-50 Love, but I don't believe any relationship is going to ever be 50-50, because again, there's going to be days where someone may have to give a little bit more, which is understandable, but it shouldn't be a situation where the woman is always giving the more.
That's right.
The man should have plenty of days where he's giving the more, because I think it's the man's job to make sure that the relationship is solid, that the relationship, that she feels like I'm valued, that she feels like I'm worth it. And so I think those are the things that we have to look for, is making sure that we're giving that feedback, we're giving that extra percentage like she does as well, because I think that's what makes a healthy relationship.
And I'll weigh in on this little part. I am probably one of the most independent women you will ever see. However, there's a line, and I'm going to talk to the ladies just for a second. Yes, we like looking independent and being independent. And yes, we like to have our own. But what we also need to recognize is men want to be investors. Men naturally are investors. And what men do is they scour the land, they spy out the territory and see what's worth my investment. Because most times a man is going to sow on the front end because he's expecting his ROI on the back end. So most times, as Lawrence said, most times on the front end, they'll do the taking to dinner and they'll do the calling because they're looking to see, I want to invest into this person. But, you have to ask yourself, ladies, am I worth the investment? And so investment is not about things that you're able to just do on your own. That's not really, a man is not as superficial as a lot of us like to tend to think. Men are looking at solid investments. Even when you think about it in the natural world, they're looking at trends. They're looking at what the stock market does. Does it rise and does it fall? They're looking at you as a person, how you relate to other things. See, these aren't the things that everybody talks about, but they're looking at how do they treat other people. If you have children, how are you relating with your children? If you have a job, are you late? Are you diligent? How are you with your coworkers or your friends? Are you always being catty about them? Because they're thinking at some point, I want to invest my last name into this person. And now this person doesn't just walk around with their identity. They have something of mine that they're going to take with them. So I'm going to speak up for the guys just for a second if we got some tuning in and say that every now and again, you have to be worth the investment. If I'm an investment, then what I have to offer should always be plastered where everybody can see it. Because if one person has spent their time and their attention and their money and their resources investing in me, why does everybody else reap the benefits that one person has invested this way? He should be getting the return on the investment. Absolutely. Or she, not them, should be getting the return on the investment. So if I'm investing my time and energy at home, cooking or cleaning or taking care of or providing or whatever I'm doing, but then my other person in my relationship is always out spending all their time with other people and always out partying with other people and always going out and traveling with other people, who's really the investment?
Right.
That's good.
And one of the things we have to remember is, if we go biblical, God gave Adam the responsibility to name things. He didn't give it to women. So women are actually out of place when we try to connive, when we try to plot, when we try to plan, when we think of ways that we're going to get this man to be our man.
Oh, wow.
That's not our job.
Oh, wow.
Our job is to be in the right place. He's going to find us if we're doing the right thing and in the right place at the right time. But we actually get ourselves out of place when we start doing those things that we're not supposed to do. And one of the things we have to remember is a man will call you what he wants you to be.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
If he wants you to be girlfriend, he's going to call you, this is my lady.
Huh.
If he wants you to be wife, he's going to put a ring on it and give you his last name.
Wow.
You cannot get yourself out of place, or you're going to find yourself frustrated.
That's good. You know what? That reminds me, and I'm going to let you talk to this after I say it.
y'all got it.
Fellas, now I got to put the ladies, I got to play advocate here. So I'm going to put something out there. Fellas, a lot of times, women, we are watchers. We are always looking. We are studying. We don't necessarily, I always hear men always saying, is she gonna say anything? Is she gonna do it? We kind of waiting on her. See, we gotta watch. It's some things that we're looking for. But sometimes you guys make it hard. Now, I'm just gonna tell the truth because y'all trying to be so guarded. Y'all trying to be so close. Women are investors as well.
Oh, yeah.
We like a good deal and a good bargain like everybody else. But those things that are gonna remain forever, those things we plan on keeping a long time, we will shell out those bills for those things we want to remain consistently. Those things that if I just got a quick party or something that I'm going to, I don't really need a pair of $200 shoes. I can go run and get me a $20, $30 pair of shoes, and it's okay if the heel breaks. I'm throwing that away. That's not an investment.
Right.
But when it's something that every time something comes up, I want to get to my go-to pair, then I'm going to take that time. So fellas, and I'm talking to you guys, I need you to help ladies. I need you to help the ladies. So here's what happens. We're looking to see if you're worth our investment.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes, macho man, you're being so closed that we don't know what's underneath. We
Right.
think you're a
Right.
great guy. We think you might possibly be marriage material, but we don't know. And I get why the guard is there. I get that. You put it all out there the first time and you invested in somebody and they didn't do you right. And you made your commitment that no, that's not it. But there's some woman that's sitting around saying, let me see what kind of steward he is over his resources. And I'm going to tell you something. It used to be a time and a place. And then a lot of this has to do with maturity, because what appeals to the younger generation, and I know I look young, but I'm knocking the heck out of 40, but what appeals to the younger generation is not necessarily what's appealing to a different generation. What we're looking at, and when we talk about investments, we're not talking about that cute feel-good hair and nails, and we're looking at what are you really spending your money and your time and your resources with. We're looking at what do you do, not just that you have a job. I want to know what you do with your off days.
Right.
Not just that you have a nice wardrobe. I want to know what you do with the money
Right.
that you don't have to spend right then.
Right.
Because you've got to be an investment. And there's something about you that I need to know. Is it worth investing in too? So at some point, I said that about reciprocity. A lot of times, men tend to want to know what they're getting. I just need to know. You need to tell me, what kind of woman you are, what kind of stuff you like. But then, you don't get to sit and hold back and let us, we got to dig and scratch and try to see. And that's a lot of times why women resort to games. And that's a lot of times why women try to see. And I'm going to say this because I'm on a roll here.
Go, sister.
These little games that we play with each other's emotion.
Oh.
I hear this all the time and I see it. Grown men don't play games. Grown women don't participate in games.
She preaching
So
right there.
what happens is,
I'm just sitting here.
what happens is,
I'm
if
killing
you
me.
want to know how I feel about you, I'm a grown woman. Ask me.
Mm.
I guarantee you I will tell. What you don't have to do, and I see men do this a lot, is I'm going to flirt with somebody else. I'm going to ignore her and then see if she's going to run behind. Sweetie, the time has passed for that kind of stuff. And what happens with that is a lot of times people will prey on another person's insecurity. So I'm going to tell you how we mess up. When a person decides that they're going to expose their vulnerability, that's a trust thing. I'm saying, I'm trusting you with my weakness because I'm hoping that you're going to protect that.
Right.
When you exploit it by playing games, I reserve the right to shut that down because you've shown me that I'm not an investment.
Let me just add. Oh wow. Let me just add to what she was saying, because again, we have been taught as men to sort of keep our guards down until we really know what this person is really all about. But I want to go back to something Miss Elisa just said. as it relates to trying to really figure out who the man. Most people bring the artificial them to the relationship. They don't bring the real them initially to a relationship. We have the facade on, we have the mascara, we have all of those things on in the beginning because we're trying to sort of feel that person out. But I want to say this, that for most men, a real man, a real grown man, again, like she said, we're not playing games. We want to know what the real deal is. And again, I think we have to understand, as I'll say women need to understand who you're dealing with. When she was talking about what are you investing your money in? Now, if you got a brother who's spending money on 26-inch rims and 32-inch rims, and you fall for that, or a brother who's listening to that gangster rap, and you're thinking that's going to make a great mate. I'm not saying that's not a great brother, but I'm saying that's not going to be something that you're going to be looking for in the long run. Because again, if he's listening to cursing music, calling women bees and hoes, then you can't get mad when he calls you that, because that's not a good investment. You can't be that desperate that you fall for a guy who's into that type of stuff, and then you're wondering why he's not treating you like a queen. Well, he ain't acting like a king, so he can't treat you like a queen because he's not a king. A king ain't gonna walk around listening to negative music, music that's calling people out of their names. That's just not what we do. We want somebody with some substance, want somebody with some intellect. That's what real men are looking for. We're not looking for women who partying in the club, got all your cleavage showing and all that good stuff. Listen, that's how our thinking when we see that is just for a one-night stand. That's all we're looking for, a one-night stand or a little feel good, depending on how good you freak them or whatever. They'll come back around, but at the end of the day, you ain't gonna be nothing for them. The investment is somebody who's trying to learn something, do something, go somewhere with their life, and again, that's what you got to be looking for.
Dr. T, let me ask you something, because I know you can answer this well. What is going on in an individual's mind when they start accepting the treatment that's less than who they really are? What's happening when, say if we're talking about a guy starts talking to the woman any kind of way, or start, I see she's calling, I'll deal with her later. And the woman knows it, or she knows, because I hear this. I know women that will say, oh, I know he messes with other people. I know he's out there, but as long as he come home, as if that's a compliment, or they'll say, well, he act like that. I mean, he don't like to take me anywhere, but that's okay because I got him. What is going on? I know you're a therapist, and a lot of times you look deeper as you seek to equip us with how to get past this kind of stuff. What's going on that allows a person to accept that kind of treatment?
The bottom line is low self-esteem. I have lowered my expectations of you so you won't disappoint me.
Oh, wow.
That's all it is. When we look at investments, I don't know about you guys, but when I invest my money, I'm looking for a return.
That's right.
I don't invest my money in something that I know I'm going to lose money. And when we think of investments, we also think long term. So if I'm investing my money, I'm expecting to get something back, and I'm expecting it to be for the long haul. Now let's think about it. When we play the lottery, when we do these
Preacher don't play lottery.
We don't play lottery.
When we do
Just an example.
get rich schemes, or if multi-level marketing, here, you give me $100 in 30 days, I'm gonna give you back $300. That's too good to be true. If it looks like it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true, and you need to walk away. But in most instances, when we look at ourselves and we lower our expectations in order to continue to remain in a relationship, that says a lot about who we are and what our expectations are of ourselves. So if I don't want you to disappoint me, then I'm going to lower my expectation of you.
Good.
So that when you don't meet my expectation, it's not falling back on you, it's falling back on me.
That is good. You know what? While we're staying there, I just, came up with something else I was thinking about. Along with what you were saying, Dr. T, is the expectation thing is, and it goes back to value and investment. Women, and yeah, I want to talk about value. You don't have to accept a knockoff when you are authentic Michael Kors material. So, and a lot of times, we do not need a price tag. We don't have to see the price tag to know what's authentic and what's a knockoff. And a lot of times, we will be giving something that looks like love. It feels like comfort, and we know it's not authentic. We know it's a knockoff, but we'd rather not have anything. So we'll just accept this cheap imitation. And we all know, and I don't have any problems with knockoff purses. You know, I always say there are certain things I'm going to invest my money in, but something that I know I just needed to throw down and pick back up, I'm going to spend a lot of money in it. But so I'm talking about investments here. I'm talking about when you got a fake Michael Kors, and you know they don't have the lock and key, and they got that real oversized emblem on it, and that material look like it'll catch on fire if you rub it against something real fast. We know that's a knockoff. Now, why is there a difference? Because if I have a knockoff purse, I'm not wearing my knockoff purse when I'm going somewhere where perception is everything. I'm not wearing my knockoff purse around the people that mean something to me. I don't want to wear knockoff when I am in front of somebody. I'm going to use my knockoff when I'm just kind of in and out. I'm not going to break out the great bag, the $1,000 bag everywhere. And so a lot of times what we'll do is we're so happy to have something that we will say, oh, you got me this, and you know it feel crunchy. You know that's not rawhide leather, but you're just so happy to have something that you'll say, I'll take it. Now again, this is real talk. So we're not talking about what somebody can afford, and we're using analogies. I'm talking about knockoff emotion. I'm talking about you'll take me out of town away from the people you work around, you know, at night for a date, and I'm caught up in, oh, that's so sweet. That was like a mini vacation. That was not a mini vacation. He knocking you off to the side somewhere because the authentic thing is what's in front of everybody. It's what is real, is what he's investing that time into. So I don't want to accept knockoffs. And a lot of times we'll take a text over a conversation face to face. Now, a relationship, I can text quick as the next person, but a real authentic relationship is not a phone call or a visit. We are sitting down and communicating.
And
I am
when
looking
they're
at
doing
you.
it.
Right, without me doing it. So the knockoff is, let me send Boo a quick text thinking of you, and then you happy about an emoji. What? No, baby, smile at me for real. Don't send me an emoji while he's somewhere with his phone and with the privacy screen and you don't know. And so, and again, once again, fair game. Women and men, they both play these games. But what we're trying to get to is the heart of the matter. Know your worth and know that you are worth investing in. Know that when a man brings that kind of stuff to the table, they're saying this is long term. You want to know if you're valued? Look at the type of things that are being invested into you. Not just what you're getting, what type of things you're getting. Because at the end of the day, you can go down to the store and buy yourself $20 hair. You just might want $120 hair, but if at the end of the day, you can get that. So you got to look at the type of things that is being helped. If you are struggling with finances, or if you are having a problem with your vehicle, and this man says, you know what, I know a mechanic. I don't necessarily do cars, but I've been noticing that when you drive your car, and he letting you meet him and he hear the hood, something knocking on the there, he's not bothered. Boo, you coming over at 2, what, nothing. But he's saying, hey, I know a mechanic. That's an investment. I am saying, I'm concerned about what you're riding in and your safety. So don't just look at what is going on. You need to, you need to read between the lines when you say so.
That's good stuff.
But am I being treated that way?
Correct.
Am I allowing myself to be treated like the queen I am? Are you taking care of me? Not in a sense of you being my sugar daddy, but are you taking care of me like I am a precious jewel? Are you making sure that the time, the quality time, quality ladies, quality time? Because now taking me to Red Lobster for 1 hour once a month, that's not quality.
Oh, wow.
Are you spending quality time with me? Are we having quality conversations with one another? If I'm allowing you to treat me like a side piece, or am I allowing you to treat me like the queen that I am? Am I allowing you to treat me like the investment that I need to be? And that's where women fall short, because like you said, we will settle for being the side piece. We will settle for being the one that goes out of town. But what is he really thinking about us?
So that's good. I have a question for a man, about a man. I hear this a lot. Fear captivates emotions. It's a captivating emotion. Fear will allow somebody to hold on longer than they need to stay longer than they should.
Boy, you hitting something
So a
right.
lot of times, and we got to get to this is real talk, so we really got to get in there. A lot of times, ladies, you'll be afraid to say and articulate how you really feel because you are fearful that that man's gonna walk away. So you might know you deserve better treatment. You might want to say, I would like more of this, but all that man have to say is, woman, don't be nagging me about it. I'm doing it. I mean, I'm trying, I get to it. And you're saying, well, I want to push him. What is really going on? Because I know that there are some men, you know, men and women, we think differently. So just because women, we might be saying, if he told me that, I'll just back off. But a man might be saying, men might be looking at it like, no, you know, if you want something, you need to tell me if you let me do it. So what speak to that fear of saying what they need to say in a relationship when it comes to a man?
I think that's really great because there are a lot of women who I've heard even mention those same type of things that I don't want to push him away. I can't talk to him. But again, we don't know what you want, what you're looking for unless you tell us. Right. And again, if you have a man who's concerned about you, who's really interested in investing in the relationship, investing in you, he's going to be excited, I guess I should say, to hear you speak about what you're looking for. Now, if you got a man who is telling you that you're nagging him when you're telling him how you feel or what you think, that may not be a good investment for you because, again, a man who has total interest in a woman, he wants to know what is it that he can do to make the relationship better.
Right.
But again, most time, I'll say it like this. I honestly believe that one of the reasons why a lot of men have short patience, if you will, and don't want to go the extra mile with the relationship is because there are too many options out there. There are too many women who will take their foolishness. There are too many women who know he's in a relationship but will still be with them. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have a short lifespan, if you will, because there are too many other women who are throwing themselves on them because they're desperate as all outdoors. They don't understand that value, their worth, and they would rather have just anybody around than to be alone. And so that's why brothers just go and don't really put a whole lot of investment in relationships, period, because they got too many choices out there.
That's
and then if I can just go a little further, you got to understand that in this day and age, you got a lot of men who are down low, homosexuals, whatever. So the pickings are slim for women. And so again, it's one of those things where a brother who's interested in a real relationship, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to be committed because people are just throwing themselves, women are just throwing themselves at him, and it makes it difficult. And a lot of times, I'm going to tell you one thing I hear a lot, and I don't know if I holistically agree with this. I want you to hear me. This is real talk.
Here we go.
Most times women say a man who really loves his wife, his woman, will not cheat on him. Now, y'all got to just forgive me because I'm just going to tell you the raw truth. That's not necessarily true. It's just that sometimes, and I don't mean this in a negative way, so get this right. I'm saying that most times temptation, I'll say it like this, temptation is not temptation until you're tempted by what tempts you.
Right.
And so if a woman,
That's right.
if for instance, if a woman who's married to her husband is not doing anything sexually with him, and all of a sudden he feels like he's being neglected, and you got a woman who's at the job or a woman who's wherever who's saying to him, come see me. And so in his mindset, he said, oh, wow, my wife ain't did nothing with me in a week or two, and this lady is saying, come on and let's go do something. That temptation can throw him off if he's not careful. And I'm not saying that he doesn't love his spouse. It's just that sometimes that temptation will cause a person to go and make a mistake, and that's just what happens. And so I can't really say, for instance, holistically, rather, that he does not love his spouse. I think that sometimes those emotions, that temptation can temptation can get the best of anybody.
So, that brings us to a good point. I'm going to tell a little story real quick. I told this one time we were on a conference call, but it's just perfect for what we're talking about now, is an investment. I made this story up a few years ago when I used to do relationship conferences, and it kind of, and we like being relational, and practical things sometimes help us. Well, once upon a time, there was a grocery store, right? And the owner of the grocery store had, what's in our convenient grocery store. It's a little hometown grocery store. So you had your fresh produce, you had your canned goods, you had your meat. So one day, a can of corn arrived at the grocery store. And so as the store owner, the grocer was putting up his grocery for the people to come shopping, he took this can of corn and he put it on a high shelf, and he had a great label sitting on it saying, you know, new product, and he put it on the shelf high. Now that can of corn sat on that shelf proud. It had the right label on it. The label was fresh. The aluminum, can, it was gleaming, and it was sitting up high on a good aisle where people were going to be walking. And so people would walk down in the grocery aisle like, oh, wow, look at that can of corn. I need to buy that. That can of corn was saying, listen, I know what I'm looking like. I'm sitting up here high, and my price is hefty. I cost $3. Somebody getting ready to buy me. One day, a mother and her children, two little boys that were just running all over the place, were coming down the grocery aisle and knocked against the shelf where that can of corn got knocked down. Well, while that can of corn was on the ground, another older lady came by and didn't see the can, and her cart knocked the can over, pulled this label some, scratched it. Well, the can of corn got rolled up under a shelf and wasn't seen. And so after it had been there a few days, dust started collecting on this can. So there was a dent at the top, label was torn, and there was dust. And one day, at the close of one of the weeks, the grocer was going through his grocery store kind of looking, and he noticed that this can of corn was on the floor hidden. So he took the can of corn out and dusted it off. And the can of corn, just wasn't feeling it. He looking at his label, it was torn, there was dust. And he noticed that the owner took him and put him in a new location. So the can of corn looked around like, well, where's this new place I am in? And he kind of looked down, and he noticed that amongst him were other cans that were torn, and the labels, and they were dented. And when he looked on the front of the cart, it said, reduced goods, and they were 15 cents each. And he thought, oh, wow, I got scratched and torn and kicked, and now I'm reduced good, I'm damaged goods. So it said clearance, damaged goods, and the price had been reduced. That can of corn sat in that cart and said, I just really wish nobody would try to buy me, because who wants damaged goods? Who can do anything with that? Well, one day, there was a nice old lady that came grocery shopping, and she bypassed that big hefty sign with all of the new corn, and she went to the clearance aisle, and she looked in, and she said, corn, that's what I was looking for. And she went to reach for the corn, and the corn said, ma'am, listen, you don't want me because I'm damaged and I only cost 15 cents. That woman said, let me show you something, sweetie. And she went and pulled out the expensive can. And she said, on the back of this label, the ingredients are the same. When I use my can opener and get ready to feed my children, the same corn that's in this can is the same corn that's in this can. When I pour it in and put it on the stove and they eat the same nourishment that this can is going to give them, this can is going to give them too. What's the moral of the story? It's not our labels that define our worth.
Right.
It's not what we're wrapped up in at the time.
Right.
Because a lot of times what happens is we'll start out feeling pretty good about ourselves.
Right.
We got a good job and a good spouse and everything's going great. And then we get knocked off the shelf. Somebody dies, somebody breaks up with us, there's a divorce, the children grow up or they turn their back, and all of a sudden we start feeling damaged. And we say to ourselves, somewhere I don't feel like I'm worth what I used to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to wear those good clothes. I'm going to get some skin. Let me tear some of these layers off and so that I can get the attention. Let me expose a little bit more of myself. Let me move my label out the way so I can get somebody's attention, because it's okay if they don't want to pay the good money for me. I'll accept. I see that I'm damaged, so I'll accept you paying a little bit less for me. But on the inside of you is that same stuff,
treasure.
because it's what's on the inside that's the investment. And when you can find somebody like that old lady that looked past what's on the outside and realize that it's what's in you that's going to nourish me, you are the investment, what's in there is what I need, then that's how you know you're being treated like an investment.
That is so good. I don't even know what to say.
I think that wraps it up for tonight.
That was a really good analogy. No, we don't need to stop right now. This stuff is too good. Hey, y'all show some love. Y'all want us to keep going.
Listen, we are so glad
We
that
are
you
just-
guys
yes.
are tuning in and commenting. I can't wait to even go back and read some of the comments. Again, share this video on your page if it's blessing you. If you're finding something helpful, make sure you talk to us about things you want us to address at a later time. We're getting ready to start this relationship movement, and we were going to take all of you guys' input, how you are responding to what we're doing, and we're going to use that. But as we're taking this little break, as we talked about this whole can analogy and about this worth, you know, the last part of that is what we don't realize is that same can of corn can go to the recycle bin and turn into a computer chip that helps spread information all over the world. So just because you started off in one state, there are certain things called transformations that we all go through in life that makes us better and much more useful. Why do you think, Dr. T, a lot of us don't know how to embrace transformation? Why? Because I know in relationships, because we're talking about relationships, a lot of people will say, well, that ain't the woman I married, that ain't the man I first knew. Why don't we give room to one another to transform and change?
Oh, that's a real good question. I have a couple of clients that I'm seeing right now actually who are going through personal transformations and their spouses are having a hard time with it.
Wow.
And these are women who have gone through physical transformations first, and they see
That's a good one.
now that physically they're no longer the person they were. But so they're making the transformation, they're making the change to become the new person that they want to be, the new person that they see. But the spouse that's been with them for years and years and years, they're having a hard time with the transformation.
Wow.
And so one of the things that I'm having to work with these women is first getting them to be comfortable with the new person they're becoming.
Right.
Because one of the things that happens is when we are not comfortable with ourselves, we see things differently with other people.
Absolutely.
Well, he's treating me differently. Well, is it that he's treating you differently, or you're perceiving what's being done different because
You feel different
feel
about
different.
you. That's good.
And so she's saying, well, he talks to me differently now. Well, is it that he's talking to you differently, or your perception of what he's saying is different because now you're bringing a different perception of what is being said and what is being done.
Wow.
Now you're looking at things in a different way. You are experiencing things in a different way. I have one lady who lost over 80 pounds
Wow.
with CrossFit. Been working out, loves it. She absolutely enjoys helping other people. But this is an area that she finds joy in, but this is not an area she can share with her husband.
Ah, gotcha.
So now it's starting to cause friction in the marriage. Well, is it really that it's causing friction in the marriage, or is this now an area that you enjoy and you're feeling the guilt of being successful in this area? And your husband is now seeing that, wait a minute, this is an area we don't share together anymore. So this, when we talk about changing and transforming, first we have to embrace it
Right. Right.
before anybody else will.
Right.
One of the things I always tell women is, if you really want to see what people think about you, change your physical appearance
Something,
first.
right.
Change your hair, change your nails, lose a little weight, change the way you dress. See how people approach you then.
Wow.
My husband and I have a funny story. I've had short hair since 1994. He's never seen me with hair. I attempted to grow hair about pictures. I attempted to grow hair about 10 years ago, and my husband went, no, I don't think I'm gonna like you with hair. And it was so funny because I thought he wanted to see me with hair, but he had actually gotten used to seeing me without hair.
Ah.
And so what made me start thinking about it is, when we go in and we have all of these different layers on, how does somebody really know who we are?
Wow.
When we have all of the fakeness on, when we put on airs, when, like Lawrence was saying, when we send our representative instead of the real person of who we really are. How does a person really get to know us?
That's good. You know what? I shared something with them a while ago, and since you said it, I'll say something about it. I said that a lot of times what we put on physically is almost a direct parallel in what we're putting on emotionally.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now I'm a woman, so I can talk to this.
Let's go.
I'm a woman, I can talk to this. I said, and again, the disclaimer is all of this stuff I'm saying because I deal with it and I experience it. Women, we like our hair, not just our hair, we like our hair. So we don't have a problem adding on hair. We don't have a problem adding on lashes. We don't have a problem adding on nails. We don't have a problem getting into a Spanx. We don't have a problem doing things that gives a different perspective about certain things. Putting on 4 and 5 inches to get that silhouette going. We don't have a problem with those things. But I was telling them that something happens though when we get so caught up in what's superficial about what we're doing. So here's what I said. Be mindful of what you're putting on mentally as you're putting on those things. If you're putting on hair, be mindful that you're not saying, I'm trying to get past the natural me. And I don't mean going natural because it's not for all of us. I mean, make a consciousness to say, am I trying to hide the natural part of me and fit into what society is saying? This is beauty. That's not beauty. So let me get something that looks like what everybody is happy about. When I'm putting on lashes, and the eyes are the windows to our souls, am I trying to keep people from looking into the soul of my eyes by being distracted with the flirtatiousness of my lashes? When I cover my lips in red or purple or blue or black or whatever, am I saying something about that I don't feel safe enough to talk about what's really going on in my life? I'm covering the truth of who I really am. When I put on a Spanx to give me the right silhouette, and there was a study done some years ago that when you put on a Spanx and you wear it incorrectly, you actually reposition your body organs and something is out of place. So what am I squeezing in to fit a silhouette? What am I misconstruing in my emotions? What have I moved out of the way? What emotions have I decided to ignore because I need to look right emotionally? I don't want to look emotionally unfit for somebody else. When I'm putting on heels and trying to rise myself out of something and my shoes look good, what direction is my life really going into? When I'm throwing nails on my hands, nails help us grab hold of things. What things now have I had a hard time letting go of because I put my claws in them and they're no longer healthy for me, but I ensnared myself into them. So we have to look at those things that we do physically. What does that really say about us mentally and emotionally? Because everything translates. Don't ever miss that. Everything translates. And a lot of things are not to be taken for granted. So sometimes, and I say a lot of times, we don't like to go to the doctor because what happens at the doctor, it's not so much that we don't think he can help find a cure for what's the problem. We don't like going to the doctor because the first thing the doctor asks us to do is undress. And the reason we don't want to undress is because I can camouflage some things around people that see me every day. But that doctor gonna see my scars. That doctor gonna see my imperfections. That doctor gonna see if my diet is working, if I cheated or not. That doctor's gonna see if somebody been beating on me. That doctor's gonna see if I've been misusing drugs. He's going to see what's really going on underneath. I'm gonna have to expose myself and be vulnerable. I got stripped. And so a lot of times, but he can't give us the help we need until we strip and become vulnerable. So a lot of times in relationship, nobody's able to get to the core of us. And that's even in friendships. We have friends, ladies, guys that are friends with each other. They can't really help one another heal because we're too busy hiding ourselves, all this exterior stuff, because we want a compliment or we want somebody to say, that girl got it together. When our real issues that need to be touched are underneath. So we got to expose that to the people that we can trust that can help us so that we can be healed.
Because you can't heal what you don't acknowledge.
Can't heal what you don't acknowledge.
I'm just going to say this. These ladies have been phenomenal tonight. I don't even have to say anything. This has been a great night full of great information. And you need to share this video.
Share the video.
Share it.
I didn't even realize we had been on here almost an hour.
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Almost
Thank you
an
guys
hour.
for
We thank y'all
staying
for
tuned
staying
in.
tuned. We don't want to give y'all too much though, because the relationship movement is about to take off. And we're just trying to give you a little sneak preview of what is to come. We're just trying to help people. My job is to enlighten.
My job is to empower.
My job is to equip.
And that's what we do. That's what we're here to do. We appreciate y'all coming on. Let these ladies take over, say some last words, and I'm out.
Last thing I'm going to say, and I say this at the end of all of our sessions,
Yes.
we always like to leave with a word of affirmation. So whether you're a guy or a girl, a man or a woman, you get in front of that mirror and you look at yourself and you declare that I am worth the investment. You
I
ever
am
want to
worth
see
the
that?
investment.
Right. If you want a return on your investment, you got to start here first. So you look yourself in the eye with all your scars, with all your issues, with all your drama, with all your successes, with all your greatness, with whoever it is that authentically makes you you. And you say to yourself, because if you can say it to yourself, you can say, hey, I am worth the investment.
Don't
But
play.
say it to yourself first and say it until you believe it. Until next time, thank you guys so much.
Good night.
Good night.